How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and the new iPad is in the house. You know, we called it the iPad 3. Apple announced it as the new iPad, and we're still kind of calling it the Apple iPad 3, but it's the new and improved device with a Retina display, a 5-megapixel iSight camera on the back, a processor with quad-core graphics capabilities, and more. Now, is this thing up to par with Android tablets? Is it still the king in the tablet market, or has Android overtaken it in 2011 and in the beginning of 2012? We'll find out in the review, but first, some love to Best Buy Mobile because they hook us up with phones and tablets like this for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game on the site, which you can win. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you won't deal with rebates. You'll walk out the door not dealing with paperwork or waiting 8 to 10 weeks for your rebates to come back, all those stupid debit cards. It's obnoxious, and you don't have to deal with it at Best Buy Mobile. You walk out working without dealing with any rebates. Let's take a look at this. Apple's new iPad. Is this the ultimate device? We'll find out starting right now. So here it is. You know, much like the iPhone 4 and the 4S, we're seeing kind of an evolutionary update here with the new iPad. This is officially the new iPad. It came out and it's available now starting at $499.99 for a Wi-Fi version. Now, it's available in a couple of different models. It's available $499, $599, $699 for your 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte Wi-Fi versions, then $629, $729, $829 for the cellular versions that have Wi-Fi and LTE, so 16, 32, 64. Now, again, available in white and black, and it's available on Verizon and AT&T 4G LTE. So a couple of benefits here. One is that, of course, it does have LTE capabilities if you do buy one of the ones with cellular connectivity, so you can sport that 4G connection, be it on AT&T or Verizon. The other benefit here, a couple of improvements. First of all, it has an Apple A5X processor in it. It has quad-core graphics capabilities. It has the same 9.7-inch display, but it has a Retina display with 2048 by 1536 pixels. That's really the first thing I noticed about this thing out of the gate, is that the display is absolutely beautiful. If anything, you know, for somebody that has an iPad, they're probably doing a lot of consumption of media, be it watching TV, be it reading articles on New York Times or Bloomberg. You're really going to notice the screen difference here. The Retina display, much like on the iPhone 4 and the 4S, absolutely beautiful and a nice improvement. You have a 5-megapixel iSight camera on the back. You got your FaceTime camera on the front. It's running iOS 5.1 as well. So let's just take a look at, kind of walk through some of this. Of course, buttons haven't changed. Same stuff over on the side. Same form factor. It's a little bit thicker and a little bit heavier than the iPad 2, but same stuff over on the side. You got your volume rocker over there, along with your toggle to switch between sound and no sound. And then you have your power button up here, and your 3.5mm headphone jack up in the top left-hand corner, I guess bottom left-hand, depending on how you're holding it, or it could be top right-hand corner. I don't know, it just depends on how you're holding it. You can hold it in a bunch of different ways. Crazy iPad swirliness, but you can see some of the apps that I've downloaded. And again, iOS 5.1 here. Now, having, it's 2012, and it's, we're what, a fourth of the way through 2012. Having worked with Android tablets and Windows Phone, not tablets just yet, but working with Windows Phone, I've seen a lot of different interfaces. And one thing that's getting a little bit long in the tooth with iOS, it's fantastically fluid, very little to no lag. I mean, absolutely fantastic performance 99.9% of the time. But something that's getting old, the lack of widgets. You don't have any widget capabilities on this device. They're all individual apps, and if you want to see the weather, for example, you got to click on Weather Channel. If you want to see your email, you got to click on Mail. If you want to see the browser, you got to click on the browser, etc. And so the challenge here is, for somebody like me that's gotten used to widgets, it's nice to be able to just kind of look over and say, oh, it's 82 degrees in Charlotte, and I can go back to whatever it is that I'm doing. So I think for people that are coming from an Android smartphone in 2012 or coming from an Android tablet, that's probably going to be the biggest learning curve. Where this thing wins, and I'm kind of spoiling the video, but where it wins, of course, the media ecosystem, especially if you're used to iTunes and you've been using iTunes for years, the media system is second to none on this device. It's absolutely fantastic and continues to be great with things like iCloud and the ability to auto-sync your applications. So when I go on my computer and download a song, it auto-syncs to my iPad. And this, like I said, is the Wi-Fi only version, and this one's obviously the white version, and you get your port down here at the bottom you can connect your Apple adapter to. So let's take a look at the browser. Actually, we'll jump right into Safari and take a look at it. I'm going to pull back to PhoneDog.com. And you can see it load up right here. No real changes here. Nice iPad keyboard, and you can see it in portrait mode. And then, of course, the benefit here, if I want to undock it, I can undock it and put it in the middle, or I can split it for easier access with two hands. Now, 9.7-inch display still means it's pretty easy or not too hard to type if you have the keyboard all together, because my thumbs do touch. Where you really see a challenge is when you're working with something like a 10.1-inch display, and in portrait mode you're struggling to reach across. Well, they fixed it as well with the split keyboard. It's a little bit easier to type on. I prefer kind of doing it in portrait mode and bringing it back here. Let's go back to PhoneDog. Load up PhoneDog, and I'm going to bring up the keyboard here, and I'm going to go back to docking and merging it, because I think on this side it's a little bit easier to use. So similar keyboard layout here, just as easy to type on this device as it is Let's load up Phone Dog. I don't know why it's taking so long. I'm having some internet connectivity issues in the office on Wi-Fi, so that may be what's going on right now. But Phone Dog's loading up. You can see it here, and the camera's really not doing it justice. And I say this a lot with the HD displays, but it's particularly true. The camera's not necessarily doing it justice. It's a beautiful display, and where you really see it is when you look at a white background like what you see behind our content here. When you really focus in on text, you can see how clear it is, even at maximum zoom. Just absolutely beautiful, and you can see it really. The images. Their little thumbnails are a little bit distorted. That's not as a result of the display, that's as a result, I mean, it's so clear that almost the internet kind of needs to be reconfigured to allow for some higher resolution images. But you can see here beautiful text, you can see even zoomed in here, looks absolutely gorgeous. You can see text here just looks fantastic even when focused in. So I think for people that are purchasing this device, maybe have some trouble seeing or just really like a high resolution display, you've got a lot to like on the iPad. But pinch to zoom, very responsive here. You got your forward and back buttons, you got your bookmarks, you got the ability to add to reading list, add to home screen, mailing links, tweeting and printing and more. You can use wireless printing capabilities, and of course you have your bookmarks and your history there, and I can edit and change that around. So brings in a lot of different changes. iOS 5.1 obviously has the notification pull down here. You can see on my calendar, Chase, I need to pay the Chase bill, and then you can see my CNN stuff that I've already gotten. And much like iOS 5.1 on the iPhone, you can clear that out. And of course I have my battery meter right here as well. Now, a couple things I've noticed about this device. One, just kind of jumping around and talking about it a little bit. It is kind of hard to charge. If you're doing it via USB connection into your computer, this thing takes forever to charge. It's a little bit faster when you use the included AC adapter module, but still not the fastest in the world. But where this thing wins to me is fluidity, App Store, and of course the iTunes ecosystem. I mean, you can see how fluid and beautiful this is. Has a nice portrait to landscape transition effect, and then of course I can add windows really easily just by clicking here, and I've got my nice Google search bar, or I can go to a different address, tmonews.com, and you can see I can pull that right up and go back and forth between my various tabs. So it gives you a desktop-like browsing experience here, and it's very quick and easy to use. So browser looks great. Another thing I've really seen a lot of benefit in, and we'll just actually go through before I do that, we'll talk about some of these individual applications. Let's go into to Notes, for example. I'm going to pull this away because I have some phone numbers I need to get rid of here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you can see, obviously 9.7-inch display, a larger display than what's on the iPhone 4 and the 4S, so you've got some screen real estate to work with. So you see what's in the landscape mode. Of course I have my notes here, and if I have hi as one note, I can go down and add another note. Hello, go down and add another note. Bonjour, that I apparently can't spell right. I don't really sound like a French person either. Hola. Hola. And so I can come down and I can reference each one of those notes over here, whereas on the iPhone you obviously have to hit done because of the screen real estate not being quite enough. And so you can see over here, same thing, go back to notes, and I can bring them up. So it just takes advantage of the full 9.7 inches of screen real estate. And then of course when I go into landscape, and you see that in a lot of applications as well. You see that with contacts, you see that with, let me think of some of the others. You see that with reminders, you see it with calendar as well, because you can really go in and kind of make it your own. Let me see, calendar. And you can see what it looks like in landscape mode. I can switch back and forth between week, month, year, or of course my list with agendas, my invitations, my calendars here, and I can flip it up into landscape, or portrait mode rather, and see that Chase is an all-day event. I can see it over here as well as my itemized breakdown here between what's going on an hour-to-hour basis. Now, of course, big date as well. So it's really nice. It maximizes that screen real estate, like I said, and really makes it useful. I can, of course, search among the calendar. Now, this thing comes with iMessages out of the box. You're seeing the messages indicator. Of course, the kind of the catch-22 with that is, with the Wi-Fi only versions, it obviously only works when you're in Wi-Fi. If you have a cellular version, you can take advantage of it anywhere as long as you have some sort of cellular connection or a Wi-Fi connection. But I think a lot of people are going to get the iPad, get the 16, 32, or 64 gigabyte Wi-Fi version. They're going to go out, they're going to be iMessaging their friends saying, hey, how are you, what up, what up? And then of course you're going to go out of your Wi-Fi hotspot and you're not going to get any of those messages. So if you're meeting somebody and you're like, hey, where do you want to meet? And you walk out of Starbucks, or you walk out of that coffee shop that you like so much, and you don't get any responses, I think it presents kind of a communication deficiency unless you have an iPhone or something that's connected to cellular radios that you can get it on that. So just something to keep in mind, the limitations of that. YouTube as well, you'll see a lot of maximization, of the landscape and portrait. And we can go into YouTube, and of course the Wi-Fi is just really slow today. I apologize. The office Wi-Fi is not cutting it. So I can go to featured, top rated, most viewed, and you can see, like I said, it's taking advantage of the larger screen real estate. So YouTube will pop up here, and I really want to show you what it looks like once we get it focused in, because I want you to see, or once we get it loaded up, because I want you to see how it maximizes it on the display. Okay, here we go. Now that it's loaded up with the internet connectivity, let's take a look here at We'll go to featured. Actually, we'll go to Phone Dog, for example, so we can load up. And I've got a couple. Let's go to Phone Dog and search. And so you can see the functionality. So we'll go into the official smartphone rankings recap, which you can vote on your own favorite smartphone at phonedog.com/rankings, which is pretty cool. But you can see here, okay, so in landscape mode, it looks like a typical video. And we'll start it up, and I just want to show you when you switch over to portrait mode, you got all your stuff down here. You can see the description, you can see the category, the tags, you can see related videos, you can see, ooh, wow, this gentleman, he's got some wild eyes. You can see the comments, and you can see more videos from Phone Dog. So again, taking advantage of that 9.7-inch display. Same thing here with mail. We'll jump in and take a look, and this is heronbaker@gmail.com, and you can see all the different, I have actually 38 in my inbox right now, but a bunch of Google Plus stuff, and you can see that because it's in landscape mode, I've got this over here, and then when I switch it over to portrait, I can still see the email preview, and when I go over here to inbox, I can access my individual email. So I can scroll back and forth, and then when I want to switch over, it automatically locks it over here in the corner. When I'm in landscape mode, I can easily switch back and forth between them. Kind of same functionality here with the ability to reply, to add a new email, and as soon as I hit new, it just brings it up right here. I've got my keyboard, and of course I can hit send. So very quick, very easy, but again, you know, the focus of iOS has always been on fluidity, performance, and consistency. So it's by far one of the easiest to use operating systems, just very fluid, very easy to use with no lag whatsoever. So it's going to depend a lot on what you want, but for more on that, stay tuned for part 2 just after this.